What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, D Dual Commentary. We have Zeus 0911 1632 versus TJ Kinsley 1501, who's playing Necros, playing against Burning Abyss. Oh man, a lot of people playing that Fiend Griefing, and a lot of people playing that in Burning Abyss. You know, it seems really good in the deck because against Necros, you can essentially, like, I don't know, it seems like there's a lot of good plays. It stops Unicorn, stops, if they go for the Gen Lock and you have it set, you can just put the Gen back in their deck. I don't know, it seems like it's really good. Yeah, it seems like it has some practical uses. He milled Skill Drain in the early game, so it's really good to see that Skill Drain has caught on in Burning Abyss. Even as a 1-of, it's just stupidly good against Necros. I mean, if you've grinded the game down to the point where Necros have to play with Skill Drain, then, like, as far as I'm concerned, they just eventually you get to the point where they're just constantly attacking grabs and Sirs. So, like, really, what are they doing? Because those dudes just constantly float. And when you get Skill Drain out, you can freely summon your dudes while having, like, Downer Magician on the field because their effects are all negated. It's not so good for the Tour Guide play, but Tour Guide's at 1, so who the fuck cares? Chances of you having Skill Drain and Tour Guide at the same time are not very good. So he's summoning Bullblader. I was kind of wondering why he was going to attack because, looks like it's really not going to matter. Bullblader is banished. Sir will clearly trigger. I guess it's Dante number 2 time. Well, I can't really say Dante number 2, as that's the same Dante that was already earlier in the game. And looks like he's sitting on 100 life points. I expect him to summon another Dante. And you're just seeing Mistake right now just put in some serious work, because it mirrors the price of this card keep going up. It's kind of funny. It's not like we just figured out the card's good or anything. Like, we've known that this card is good ever since the deck started being ran. Okay, so I wonder if maybe he has a Mystical Space Typhoon that he's going to chain. Here's the problem for TJ Kinsley. Obviously, his margin for error is somewhere between 1 and 0%. Whatever that percentage is, that's what his margin for error is. He can definitely summon a good card here. He won't get to search for Sharit. He goes for Colossalus. Kind of seems like a desperate play. And he's met with another Karma Cut. Oh, right. Burning Abyss just dominating game 1. Multiple Karma Cuts every time he pitched the Karma Cut. He was pitching a card that would pay for itself eventually. Cerberus is eventually going to pay for itself against Necros unless your opponent, like, Trishes it. Eventually, they attack, they do damage, you kill a Unicorn or something like that. So, Necros hit those Floodgate cards, or excuse me, Burning Abyss hitting the Floodgate cards, dominating Necros. And I know sometimes I seem, what's the word that I'm looking for? Overly critical of people when they play against Necros. I just personally think, like, alright, the blueprint is there. If you have a great Floodgate against Necros, you have to look at that as your win condition. There is no deck in the game that can just play the way it wants to play and beat Necros inherently. Eventually, Necros, like, their engine is the best engine in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Like, you're not gonna beat them by just playing them straight. Protect your Floodgates, play play disruptive cards. You need to, when you look at your opening hand, count how many disruptive cards to Necros that you have. You know, effect negation is king, even over clearing monsters, in my opinion. Like, effect negation is always king. Like, count your cards, know what your deck does, and, you know, always try and put yourself in a position where you can play defense effectively. If you're playing a deck that can't play defense, then you're probably just going to lose the Necros anyway, unless they, like, super brick. But Necros is not very prone to bricking. Now, it's kind of weird to turn 1 Valk with nothing else, especially to summon it with Kaleidoscope of all things. Like, you just, like, I literally don't think I've ever seen that play in my life. Somebody just summon a Valk turn 1 off of a Kaleidoscope and then pass turn and not do anything else. I have never seen that in my life. That's a strange play. I guess Zeus really doesn't have any cards that answer this because You'd think all of those karma cuts that he had last game could use them now. No skill drain, no karma cut. Uses effect Veiler. Shut down the Manju. That doesn't shut down the fact that he'll almost kill you with battle damage. And now you're at 800. And you've got to take a long, hard look at your back row and think, what the hell do I have set back here where I can't stop, not only can I not stop a summon, but I can't stop an attack. And I can't stop, effects unless I use Veiler? Like, what's going on? I don't know. It's weird. It's just, if you're not stopping an attack or you're not stopping a summon, then you're probably playing a very situational card. Yeah, you're probably playing a very, like, maybe I could probably say one of those cards is like a Fire Lake, but I don't know. And then for him to, for TJ to tribute Charitz, that was the worst situation. That's like scoop phase. Because not only is he getting 2 draws, but then he gets a search. Basically, he's getting a new hand. That's what it did. He got an entire, he just got a new hand right there. So Zeus is scooping. Okay, going to game 3. And if there's one thing that has always pissed me off in Yu-Gi-Oh, and people still do it, even on my stream, it's when you're playing against somebody and you beat them, especially if you're playing like 2 competitive decks, and then they go through their deck and like show you their one card that is like, if they would have hit it, they would have won. Like, oh my god, like no one gives a fuck. Like, okay, I get it. If you would have hit this random card against, my Yosenju, you would have beaten me, but you didn't hit the random card, and you didn't, you know what I mean? Like, and it probably wouldn't have beat me because I run counters, so. I don't know. That's one of those things that's always kind of frustrated me. Like when Zeus was just drawing cards there, I felt like he was going to do that. Like he was going to show him, some card that he sided in against Necros and think like, oh man, if I would have only drawn this, like we get it. People have they've been doing it for ages. It's kind of irrelevant. It's kind of like in poker when somebody like folds and they want to, show they want the dealer to like show, what the rest of the flop or what the river and what the river and the turn would have been. It's like, it's irrelevant because it didn't happen. All right. So TJ opens up with Kaleido Mirror. Hopefully this time he won't summon another Valk, because that was a weird play. I mean, it worked, but it was still weird. Like that would have been not a very good play against most decks. Okay. So yeah, this is generally how you like want to start off, like much more conventional. Start off with, a Kaleido Mirror of a Unicorn and get another card. I believe he's going to probably summon Valk now. Oh, no, he summons Colossalus. Okay, but not like off of Jin or anything. Then gets a Brio. This is like one of those fields where if you get Dark Hold, like really, really bad shit would happen. Like you just lose the duel. Because you threw out 2 anti-Dante monsters at the same time. Looks like he's going to special Sir. The chances of him getting hit with a trap right now are just low. I mean, not a trap, but like a hand trap, because one of his cards is Brio. Looks like he has Vanity's Fiend. I guess it's no big deal that his Sir can't trigger because he don't have a graveyard anyway. So let's see if maybe he has a Royal Decree down there, which honestly, I think if you're Zeus, you'd probably want him to have a Royal Decree, because that's just one less card to kill Vanity's Fiend, honestly. Like, what I wouldn't want is you to have, like, a random Book of Moon. If you have, like, a spell, or you have, I don't know, Royal Decree, MSC set, like, you can have those. Just don't have Book of Moon. Because the Royal Decrees and all that other shit's not going to kill Vanity's Fiend. And eventually, my Vanity's Fiend is going to kill your Colossalus. That's a +1 for me. And then you're just not going to be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Essentially. You'll start having to spin your entire hand getting Valks together. Anytime you get a good floodgate to where a Necros player can't play, that's all you have to do. That's all you have to account for, is you just start counting Valks. Like, you just count their hand and you say, okay, you have Brio and like 2 cards. Okay, so you can Brio once for Valk. All right, I'll set that to the side. Maybe you Unicorn for a Valk. All right, that's fine. Eventually you run out of cards, so that's my point. Eventually the Necros player will run out of cards. So while you're getting, like, you don't even have to be getting pluses. You just count their cards. Once their cards hit like 1 or 0, you win the duel. If a Necros player comes back on you, with one card, when you had a floodgate, like either monster or just a situation where they couldn't play, then you deserve to lose, honestly, because you fucked up somehow. Even if they get, like, you see TJ Kinley searching his spells, even if they get their spells in the graveyard or out of the graveyard and they search, it's irrelevant if you have something like a Vanities or a Genlock, or, you know what I mean? And when I say Vanities, Fiend or Emptiness. Like, it's literally irrelevant. You could honestly put Lose a Turn in that category too. Like, I think Lose a Turn in Cleafort and it is literally just as powerful as Vanities, because the Nekroz player has to, it doesn't do anything. If you ritual summon Valk or Unicorn, even if you summon Unicorn off Kaleido, Unicorn is in defense mode. It can't amount to any offense. Honestly, it can't even play defense, because if I attack you have to Valk, which is just burning a card. But in those two decks specifically, where you might be able to think, oh, I can use my Valk next turn. Alright, well, there's nothing stopping Cleafort from tributing Carrier every single turn and bouncing it to your hand. You only got 6 ritual spells. Eventually you're going to run out of ways of summoning that motherfucker. The same thing goes with Yosenju. Like, all you need is 1/1 and you can just keep bouncing the Valk every turn. Not the Valk, but the Unicorn. Like I said, it can be any, you run out of fucking ways to summon them. You only I win, because then you can't summon anything else. All I need to do is play defense for those. Wow, you see him tribute for what's it called? Chancellor. That's like almost overkill, but I guess you can say that it eliminates the few outs that TJ Kinley could have had, such as Darkhold, Book of I guess really now it's either like the only card I can think of, Breakthrough Skill or Decisive Armor. I mean, 2 cards out of, like, I don't know, all of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! that it's possible for this deck to play. Oh my god, he actually had Breakthrough Skill. That's a shocker. The question is, does he have a way of getting to... Now I'll say this. You can't MST because he has Spell Canceller. So how are you MSTing? How is he activating Mystical Spate yet? Thank you. How are you MSTing if he has Spell Canceller out? Now, personally, if I had a back row card, alright, like, check this. If I had like Phoenix and Windblast or something, I would just go ahead and burn it. I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he wants to summon Denko and try and Xyz into like Exiton or Casto or some shit. That's my personal belief. And I think he wanted to get rid of his MST. Oh, Dance Princess. That's interesting. Now, clearly all he can do is Xyz. I thought he had Denko, and I thought he was trying to make it so that his opponent couldn't what's it called? I thought he was trying to make it so his opponent couldn't, respond. And here's the thing, it's very smart for him to target I believe that's Senju. Nope, mind you. It's very smart for him to target that guy. Why, you ask, is because he cannot, like, let's say he would have targeted the Dance Princess. It would have been nothing for him to just be like, oh, I'm going to activate Trishula and negate it. So you target the card that he can't Trishula, thus he can't win. Now, TJ Kinley still has a big hand, but he essentially used that Breakthrough Skill for nothing that turn. Like, you still, even if he Breakthrough Skills the Vanities Fiend next turn, he still has to deal with Spell Canceller. Like, I don't know. I thought the odds were, I don't know, somewhere in the single digits of him randomly having a Breakthrough Skill or Decisive Armor, the only 2 outs that I see to this combo. I thought it was low enough for him to even have one of those. But now, with the Breakthrough Skill getting nothing, man, it just, again, it gets to the point where maybe the game is unwinnable. So, obviously, he'll probably have to burn his Valkyrus. So, has to burn a card using Valk. If that is a defensive card, though, like if Zeus has a legitimate defensive card set, there might be no way to win. Because once that Dance Princess, once she dies, it's over. And I think TJ Kinley just scooped. Yeah, he just scooped. The only way that he could have gotten over that is with another Manju or Senju summon, and if he didn't have those in his hand, it's over. You know what I mean? Eventually you run out of outs and you don't have legitimate answers. It looks like he had skill drain on top of that too. Although skill drain is like highly counterproductive against this hand or with this field. I guess it's like an absolute last resort if your opponent was going to try and like somehow get rid of both of these at the same time. You still had skill drain to make sure, I guess, you don't get your Shulid. So right there, that's how you have to beat Necros. If you're not gonna play defensive cards, I mean, essentially he just said he had floodgates. They were just floodgate monsters. You generally see that outside of Cleaforts, but Burning Abyss can do it because they can kind of run their deck like a tribute summon deck. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always.